Yeah, or could it be their saving grace that it looks like it's an admin error?
Well, it could be a smokescreen for an exit. Yeah.
No, that they're in a tricky spot, and I said this, a number of weeks back. I think for managers at this time of the season, there's a lot of questions over the League Cup and who does it benefit? Is it a good thing? Should it be happening? Is it too early? Which for a pundit it feels pretty early. It feels like we've never stopped and we're back across the game. So I can only imagine how it feels for the players. But I think we've all got our heads around the fact that is football now. There's not a big break. There's too many competitions. There's too much going on. Summer football, tournaments, you name it, clubs are part of it. European football, the fact that the Scottish team's involved in that, it's always going to narrow that window. So for me, I think it is what it is and you just need to embrace it. There's no surprise that it's coming. You knew when the season ended last year what date you started back, so you need to plan and prepare for that, whether it comes down to recruitment or not, having players back, fresh, fit, available, whatever it may be. So the excuses, I think, have got to be eliminated at the very get-go. It's almost the same for every team, and I know there could be a few moments over the course that it affects different clubs in certain ways, but I think Hibs are a team that if they win the games and they do really well, it puts them in a good spot because Lee Johnson can go off to a flyer, and I think fans would get right on board looking at it. The quick start, they scored 5 against Clyde, they look to be free flowing football, then they follow that up with a defeat on the Tuesday, so then there's question marks over that performance, then they don't kick on and win the next match. People start to go, is he the right man for the job? He's immediately under pressure before effectively the domestic season in terms of the league has even started or is even close to get going. But if you go on a good run, I think everybody goes, oh brilliant, this looks great, a couple of results, doesn't matter who you've played, they just look at the 3 points, they look at the goals that have been scored, and all of a sudden there's that feel good factor. So it can certainly work both ways, and other clubs that are doing a better job at it just now, but Hibs are one that there's question marks now over the level of performance and whether Lee Johnson is now going to be the right man, which is so wrong really when you look at how short a time he's been in. But it was the same with Sean Maloney. They were ruthless when they got rid of Jack Ross as well. So the club cannot afford not to get this one right. And when I look through their squad, even from last night, I mean, it's a strong enough squad when you look at the players that were there from last season and the couple of additions that have come in. Like Kenna came in with, huge reviews and people raving about him after the first couple of games. That he was, looked like a real gem. They just can't buy the results.
If you use the Sean Maloney sliding scale of games you get at Hibs, he's got about 15 left. Sean got 19 games in charge, 4 already for Lee Johnson, 2 really damaging defeats. You just wonder when you win 5-0 against Clyde and then you go into the next game and you make 6 changes, what does that do to the attitude, the mentality? I was at the game and I think I saw what it did to the mentality. They could have been 2 or 3 down at half time.
Because I think that to me looks as if you're treating it like a pre-season game.
A bit of arrogance,
where you would
maybe
make those types of changes, and you can get away with that to a point. I think certain clubs could get away with that. I'm not sure that Hibs can afford to do that off the back of their performances in their league place finish last season, because it just wasn't good enough by the club standards, the fans' expectations. It fell way short. So I think whether it was Lee Johnson's responsibility or not, he is accountable for how they start this season. And as far as the fans are concerned, their season's already started. So he, as I say, he's under pressure now. But to make 6 changes, I think even players would maybe be going, let's just get a bit of momentum. Let's just play. I want to play. I would rather play. I know I would as a player. I would rather play games than train. And I know it's early on in the season where you maybe don't want to risk players with injuries and playing consecutive games too quickly together, but I think the players are used to that now. Even I'm saying that in my head, saying that out loud, but in my head I'm going, again, that's just another excuse, because that is the norm. Playing 3 games a week as a footballer has been the norm for a long time, and clubs need to get used to it. So the rotation part just becomes an excuse, if that's the reason why you don't win the game.